I shit you not, it's Fuck Off Friday, guys. Oh, what's that? Oh, that was the piece of music by Adam Janota Zabazowski. If you're watching Christos, a little bit of guide trackery there for you to work from. Just some compositional music there in the background. Hello, everyone, it's Friday. How are we all? Come on. Give us a word to describe your mood. One word. Hit me now. Hit me up. I want to know. I need to know. I need to drink this great big jug of juice. It's not juice, it's juju. Oh, God, nothing like a pint of liquid crack. Julie, the singing nutcase. Welcome back, sweetie. I know you haven't felt like it. I saw your comment earlier. What did you say? Hopeful. That's good. That's because you've got boxes to open. Good, said someone there. Kathy Hyde, frustrated. Oh, God, I'm probably not going to help you. Lisa Gallagher, feeling down. No. Well, we will try and cheer you up, though some of the news is a little bit downwards. Leah, 2 words. Hip hop. Don't stop till you top. Are you hip hopping? Are you dancing? Oh, apparently Eminem is releasing a new album. Slim Shady, I'm the Slim Shady. Nowhere, Slim Shady. Could you be Slim Shady? Because please go back. Please come back. Please go back. Slim. So shocked watching Baby Reindeer, but a brilliant show, says Karen McMullen. You've piqued everyone's interest who hasn't watched it. Hi, Marky. Could you wish me a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you, Fifi. Happy birthday to you, Fifi. Happy birthday, dear happy birthday to you. Oh, so I'll listen to my nostril. Just one sec. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so what have we got for you? Everyone's wishing you a happy birthday. Hi, all. One of the best series I've seen in a long time, says Trina Cotton. You know why? Because it hasn't been Netflixified. That's why. Why is everything the same? Even Ripley. It's just like, come on, guys. Just because you make it black and white and because you shoot it in super HD, that you could cut your arm on the edges of buildings and rooms, doesn't make it good. Uninspired Russ. Russ, we're going to inspire you. We're going to inspire, well, I don't know how, and I don't know what with, but we're going to get you there, mate. Russ, did you ask us to just look? Yes. Did you hear my nostrils? Do you want to have another listen again? Let's see. Hang on. Let's just see if we can get it right in there. Hang on. Fuck Off Friday. Get it out. Oh, God. Didn't know that was up there. Oh, Alley Cat feeling ill. Quite uninspired. Okay. It's well, hopefully my nostrils have inspired you. I hope that helps. I've got my editing gear on today. Stacey Randall, this is my editing gear. This is like going into the trenches. Tell you what, 7 hours. I didn't look up yesterday. It's hard in there. It's like dirty and it's damp and it's all noses in this. Stacey Randall, I'm going to cheers you. You are being sweetie. We're going to have to restrain you and remove you from being able to press buttons on your phone. Mark's been bogeyfied, says Julie, the singing nutcase. Are you going to sing today, though, Julie? Try singing now, see if we can hear you. Quiz of the week, you're absolutely right, BBC Faith Goodman. No, you're not BBC Faith Goodman. What's going on? Okay, let's have a look. Okay. He does Ed, Good Chip Lollipop, or Convict, or what are you talking about? I don't know what's going on. Thank you, everyone, for my birthday wishes, says Fifi Cromack. Okay, let's talk about Baby Reindeer then, shall we? Baby Reindeer is in the news yet again. Obviously, lots of online sleuths, which is a rather sexy way of saying just really, really weird people, have tried to or have successfully identified who Martha is in the real world, in real life, because, of course, the whole thing is based on a true story. But also, in one of the episodes, there is an incredibly distressing scene, and it involves the key character, Richard Gadd, whose character is Donnie, who is essentially sort of, well, they show him being, it's the grooming episode, isn't it? He's sexually abused. And everyone online felt that they'd found the right person, but they found the wrong person. So what we've got now is a kind of online vigilantism going on, courtesy of a show on television based on a Edinburgh Fringe show from 5 years ago. It's quite something, isn't it? Anyway, so this poor guy who I'm not going to name because he doesn't want any more attention, even though he's named in all the news articles. So if his name pops out or if it pops up here, I do apologise. But this person has had to call in the police, and the police have been called in to the point that Richard Gadd knows this guy and has kind of defended him. In fact, I think he mentions him in this. Oh, Richard Gadd mentions him here. Hi, everyone. People I love, have worked with and admire. This is from the creator of Baby Reindeer, including Sean Foley, are unfairly getting caught up in speculation. Please don't speculate on who any of the real people could be. That's not the point of our show. Lots of love, Richard. Now, we are going to be reviewing it. I know a lot of you have want us to chat about it, though. I mean, you could probably tell what we think of it. I think what's most interesting about the show isn't about finding out isn't it literal? I mean, why do people want to find? Someone yesterday sort of said, "Yeah, but that's what we do now. We can, and that's what happens." And it's like, I'd say do something else, a bit more meaningful. And they were running a risk making it, Leo. And I'm sure, though, that many other things have been made. For example, I'm trying to think of an example. Many other things have been made in which bad behavior has happened by people in real life stories that have been fictionalized. So it's not as if this has broken the mold. This isn't completely unusual. Now, based on a true story often features a sort of, shifting and changing, the character traits of these people. Anyway, I just think it's interesting because I think what the whole show is about the symbiotic relationship between stalker, stalked, groomer, groomed, and the complications of being a human being and what there is in us that requires us to, almost court this kind of attention. Siobhan Jordan, this is what I was saying a couple of days ago in Coffee Moaning. One of the ironies of the whole stage show, let me talk about the stage show, and what was so hard-hitting about it was both the trauma, scary, the fear, the unknowability. And the fear it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a couple of moments in the series. Yeah, the psychology of it, Jules, 1973, is great. The weird thing about physical violence, no one wants to be hurt. And I don't know whether this is because I'm a bloke, and I don't know whether it's because I have a slightly sort of insane aspect to my brain. I mean, like literally, come at my family and I will fucking destroy you. And I don't care what the consequences are. So, and it's like there's only so much fear I can feel, or one can feel, from physical assault or violence from a situation, because there's only so far it can go. Dead, I mean, and that's not to say one doesn't fear that, but it's tangible. But I think what's interesting about this kind of thing is that the fear, I don't know if you all agree, the fear is on a much more for anyone, a spoiler coming up, so cover your ears just for a second. But the moment where Donnie's girlfriend, or the trans woman girlfriend that he's with, that scene of violence that there is, it was ironically until that point, that's one of the least threatening aspects almost of what the stalker was about, because yes, it's not nice. Yes, you get hurt. Yes, it's physical. And yes, it's nasty. And there's trauma. I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about in the specifics of what's really gets under the skin about this stuff is the persistence and the creeping under and the control, and really how the person who's the victim becomes codependent on it. I think that speaks to the absolute heart and truth of grooming, doesn't it? That's what grooming is. Let's read a few of your comments, because I think you're all loving it. Amy May, Baby Reindeer is so good. I don't know why people would go looking for the real woman, though. The guy says throughout the thing and in interviews that she's unwell. He feels sorry for her, cruel of the viewers. Yeah, it's just people, it's just busybody. But, I mean, look, when people came up, someone on something that we posted, someone was like, well, this is what people do. You can do it. Now. Yeah, I get it. I get why you can do it. And I get that if you can do it, you're going to do it. But it's just like, just ask a probing question of yourself. Zoe, one thing I would say is if he wanted to protect the identity of the actual stalker, why did he literally cast someone who looks like her? And from what I've seen, similar behavior tweets. Well, good question. I think, yeah, I mean, I haven't got an answer to that really. I think he has to. I think it is a dilemma in the making. I think one of the things that shocked us when we saw the stage show was that a huge thing was made either in the program or certainly in the press around the show as to that the texts and the voice notes. I seem to remember the voice notes actually being the voice notes of the woman. I think there may have been a few actual recordings in there. And so for me, what struck me as interesting from a documentary perspective was, oh, wow, this is like one of those moments, very unusual in the theatre, where you're getting a sort of archival found footage show. Obviously, the Amy Winehouse documentary is a classic example. Found footage lends itself well to films, but it doesn't lend itself well to theatre. And I thought what was so sensational about it was he gave us a real sense of his sort of the pursuit of him and the claustrophobia of him that kind of encroached around him due to this stalking through all of the multimedia kind of tools. And so you had a screen that kind of was flashing up the text. So I think he I'm kind of trying to answer your questions though. I think he couldn't have done this without staying true to the text. I think the messaging is pretty on note. And I think he may well have, and maybe online aren't the most extreme ones. In terms of casting someone that looks like her, I suppose she's a large woman. I mean, that's generic, isn't it? Isn't it generic? I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the other weird thing, we said it the other day, and the same thing's happened, is speaking to this idea of the groomer in the real world, this police probe is happening around. He's having to look after his stalkers again. He's having to care for them, like the moment at the bus stop, etc., etc. Cambo, what's worse is they're not making this woman an icon like they have with Gypsy Rose. She'll be in the jungle. She'll be in the jungle this year. Oh yeah, who's Gypsy? Sorry, I don't know who Gypsy Rose is. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't know her name. Her laugh scares me, Amy May. Imagine being in a room, hearing it, and realizing she's turned up again. Well, I don't think it's a spoiler. I think one of the cleverest aspects of the theatre show was the idea, and we all felt it so keenly, that she might have been in the audience. And that was what do they call it? A sort of coup de théâtre, is it? A sort of coup of the theatre, or a sort of a moment of arresting wowness. For me, it was one of those moments where it was like, bloody hell. Gypsy Rose. I think I'm going mad. Who's Gypsy Rose? I haven't got a clue. Sorry, Cabo. Total ignorance as to who Gypsy Rose is. Cassar's outraged. So yeah, and that was fascinating. So we stepped out into Shepherd's Bush, which, believe me, it's not the nicest place. It's not like it used to be when I used to run around there throwing stink bombs everywhere. Ugh. Maybe it's the grooming and sexual abuse that was where have we gone? That was the most uncomfortable part for me. Yeah, it is for everyone. But that's the point. It's happening all the time, but we shy away from thinking about it. Compelling program. And I think what's really important and interesting about all of it is that we all seek to simplify things. It's like we're working on something that we just called, it's about online bullying and trolling and all that kind of stuff. And I think we approach these things too often in a sort of one direction or one note or one judgment, like everything. We don't always succeed, but I think one of the things we always try and say on here is just try and avoid having just the one definitive thought, because even with the Israel-Gaza crisis, everyone was at the we could have, but as soon as everyone else starts to close down the ability to float other ideas, you become entrenched in your position, don't you? And that's why we are very much, where we are in the Israel-Gaza crisis, because of a kind of inflexibility in the mainstream to think in any other different way. And the mainstream likes to get us into those places where we are against each other. And I think what's interesting about this is like baddies aren't just baddies. The most interesting villains, the most interesting are always the ones that aren't just straight up bad, right? That's what I find. Literally, Gypsy Rose is a complete black hole in my knowledge. Yes, there was a dramatization of Gypsy Rose's life and the build-up to... I'm going to have to search who this bloody thing is. Who the hell is Gypsy Rose? Why don't I know who Gypsy Rose is? What is she? Who did she kill? Why is she in the jungle if she killed someone? Gypsy Rose. Let's have a look. Gypsy Rose, Gypsy Blanchard, happy with single reveal X gets... is convicted of secondary murder of Missouri of the death of her mother. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Oh, okay. So, okay. I could be forgiven for not quite knowing who she was, but right. The girl who killed her mum. Yeah, clearly. Right. And she's now going in the jungle? Really? How weird. Oh, hang on. Is this the thing that there was the Netflix series about where she was the victim of... Hang on. Is this the one that Kiki was telling about? Was she the one who was made to be ill? Wasn't she Munchausen by proxied by her mum? Wasn't there some incredibly... I mean, I'm not saying murder is right, but wasn't her mum horrendous? No? Wasn't her mum absolutely beyond evil? I'm not, one's got to be so bloody careful. You've got to defend the bloody indefensible sometimes. Right. She's not going in the jungle. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, well, Regina Mushi, now I discover I have. Nadia's watched it. Kiki's watched it. I haven't watched the drama. I was editing here, and I do remember there being something on the box, and I kept saying, "Who's that? What's that?" Okay, I've got you. But is she not? I don't want to go down a Gypsy Rose wormhole, but is she not kind of allowed to have been? Is there judgment of her? Yeah, her mum abused her. Isn't she the victim here? Isn't she like those women who are incarcerated for murdering their abusive husbands, and then everyone wants to feel sorry for the abusive husband still because we live in a misogynistic world? It's not to say he should have been killed, but these are the it's like, if it does get me this when people say, well, if you blow this up, I expect to be killed. Well, if you keep abusing someone, expect there to be something fucking awful. Yeah, she's the victim. Okay. Yes, her mum drugged her from continuously. Reese, I just saw your comment go up there, Reese. What was it? It also makes me ponder, although it's done in a compassionate way, I presume you mean Baby Reindeer, the demand to give your trauma away as a springboard for a career in entertainment, and if so, where do you implement limits? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think what will be interesting, I noticed on Deadline, I don't know if you saw this, Reese, that Richard Gadd, the creator of Baby Reindeer, he's signed up with a big agency and what have you, which again, he's a comedian, he's an actor. I think he's very good in it. I think I know some people are not. Some people sort of said they find him a bit off-putting. I find him real. I think it's a really kind of unvain performance, and he shows his aspirations for what they are. It's not an ego thing. I don't think he's afraid. Certainly wasn't in the stage show. He was not afraid to show his own fallibilities. I think it's a fascinating psychological portrait of humans. So anyway, what was all this about? Fucking hell, we talked for ages about that. Baby Radio. Obviously, we're going to do the review. The Real Martha has come out and spoken on Facebook about it. All very interesting. No, yeah, I saw that. It was kind of... Didn't you think I saw her comments, actually, because they were reported somewhere. Curiously disappointing, weren't they? They were sort of almost quite insipid compared to everything else. It could be intriguing to see if she starts to unpick at what he's created. Do you know what I mean? But, my God, I already feel season 2 coming. Don't you? Oh, fuck, I've just put coffee on my fucking... What was I going to say? Funny moment, though, wasn't there, when she was heckling him, I think in episode 2 or 3. He said, yeah, sorry about my mother coming. So that was funny. Okay, moving on. Baby Reindeer. Review coming. Me and Nad's going to watch, finish it up. Nearly done. Just confirming. Cambo, let's bloody hope not. God almighty, imagine that. What have I got here? Trump Supreme. Look, let's talk about Donald Trump. He's been a bad boy. He's sat in court. He's got no one alongside him. He's all on his ownsies. I've got no one there. Apparently, I'm just going to go get the door. It's Tim. Bear with me. Oh, my knee. Thanks for your lovely thing the other day when you picked us up. Thank you. Thank you so much. Leg is still tender. He's a naughty boy. Tim sends his love. Tim's a good man. He's a goodly man. Aaron Bullimore, hang on, let's just see. We should be dramatising real events with living victims or perpetrators. It's gross profiteering off of pain and fear that extends the trauma beyond the realms of the actual situation. Is that the danger, Erin, with... What about The Crown? Is that the same thing? I mean, Netflix have sort of, have previous with this, don't they? You could say The Crown is something similar. Most of the characters that are dramatised are alive now, aren't they? So Edward Beverton, New York judges are bad when judging Weinstein. They're good when they're judging me. I'm on my own in a court, falling asleep. He's tired. I'm tired. I'm lonely, and I'm cold. Apparently, he's sat there. He's been saying, some of the people who've been testifying, this is his hush money, covering up his hush money to Stormy Daniels, hiding it in his kind of, company structure, pretending it was, and basically this is against the electoral process and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, something really important happened just there. I don't know if anyone is too into. Too soon dramas can alter the perception of the real history, Mitri. But I agree, I've always been uncomfortable with that. That's why I preferred the much older The Crowns, because you felt they were sort of, stabilised by fact. So the Supreme Court. I think it's really interesting what's happening with the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is kind of, which is the biggest court in the land in America, are kind of saying, well, we don't know if you can, if Trump is allowed to have presidential immunity or any president. But they were so sort of, well, we're not too sure, we're going to have to push this back down. What the Supreme Court has managed to do is basically filibuster and obfuscate things, which might mean and prevent some of the trials that Donald Trump faces to happen in good time, so that he could win the election. And then once he's won the election, he can kind of then sort of quash all of the charges against him. And then he just has to try and be what? What does he have to try and be? I just try to be a very, very good boy. I won't do anything wrong. I won't be doing any hush money. I don't do hush. I can't hush. I never hush. I just talk. I will keep talking with my cat's anus mouth about so many things. But I will not make the same mistake again. Anyway, no, apparently he's in court. He said of one of the people who was testifying, he's been very nice. He's been a very nice man. He's been nice about me. But he said that in an interview, and people are reading that as like the Godfather saying someone's nice, meaning you say something not nice, and that's the end of you. I think there's a palpable sense in court that we're dealing with the kind of underworld of NYC. Muqtadir Ali, imagine if he's not diagnosed with ADHD, he needs to be. I mean, imagine him having to sit still in one place for 4 days of the week. I mean, I wonder if he's taken things, like sort of, I don't know, beta blockers or just very, very naughty boy. But I think actually what's happened in the Supreme Court, though you could argue they haven't decided anything, but they haven't, in not deciding, they've said, well, let's nudge it down here. Basically, there's a big postponement in a sense to the possibility of some of Trump's court cases hitting him in time. So it's good news, effectively. What's happened in the Supreme Court is good news for Trump, which is hardly surprising because he put most of the justices in there, didn't he? But what was I saying on my Instagram Live? I wonder whether parked within all of this, does anyone think Trump might shift the constitution in such a way that he could become the first president to get a third term. Does anyone, okay, let's go conspiracy theory mad here. Does anyone genuinely think, and in a minute we're going to get to the US campuses, because I think, talk about conspiracy and control, it's just quite frightening what's going on the planet at the moment in service of Netanyahu and Zionism in general, it would seem, or a particular brand of Zionism that aligns with Netanyahu and the Israeli government. But does anyone think that there is an approach to the governance of America in the likes of Trump that thinks that by getting in and then fermenting the circumstances of more global unrest, that there could then be a need to almost put the country on a war footing and assert control because it's the best thing to do? You know, this idea that democracy is democracy until actually someone has to make a really, really difficult decision. It's no longer democracy. I mean, you know, a lot of people felt that around the, you know, COVID, lockdown, suddenly, you know, we weren't free and everyone had to do what they were told and all this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm just wondering whether that, you know, that whole thought in the Civil War film, terrifyingly, yes, if he does get in, which will very much mirror Civil War, the movie. Also expect mass exodus of Americans to our country in the coming years if he wins. Curious that we'll just let them all in, but we won't. I wonder if all the Americans coming here when Trump wins will be sent to Rwanda. Probably not. I doubt it, because if you're white and if you're relatively well off, and if you're in the book that hang on a minute, Rishi, yeah, you're basically, it's a guest list, isn't it? Asylum to the UK, you've got to be on the guest. If you're not on the guest list, you can't come in. Sorry, white Ukraine. Who's your enemy? Putin. Yes, he's ours too. Okay, you're in. Afghanistan, very few of you, maybe 6. Sorry, you translated for the army? No, you can stay. Syria? No. Too complicated. Africa? Good God, no. Africa? No. I mean, we start one, we'll have thousands. No. That's where we're sending everyone, isn't it? Let's have a look here. Palestinian. Sorry, it's not a country, is it? Oh, Americans, yes. Oh, Australians, of course. Ukraine, come on in. Okay, let's move to, I want to show you some clips. I want the clips to do the talking, guys. I want to shut the fuck up for a bit. So I'm going to show you some footage from a variety of locations in America. Remember, this is the land of the free. This is the democracy. This is the seat of democracy. This is where freedom of speech is fought for. This is where the sharing of ideas and thought and peaceful protest is your right. Okay, well, let's go to some of the campuses in America. Let's check out what's happening in the US. Here we go. Get on the ground, I said. Oh my God! Oh my God! Give me some cops! My head! You just hit my head! On the concrete! Oh my God! You people are fascists! You are Hitler! You are laughing dogs! Shame on you! May you never live another day! I am a professor! This is every professor, everyone! I am a professor of economics! You are rabid dogs! You are fascists! An economics professor who was stepping in to look after or support or help peaceful students protesting. And then the same university, peaceful protesters. Now, there's a moment here, I just want to stress, there's a look on this guy's face where I think for a moment he's thinking the worst thoughts about Black Lives Matter, if you... Get back! Get back! Disperse! 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 Move!
Back up! Back up! Back up! Cut the ball into the 30. Back up!
Peaceful protest, troops sent in. Let's not forget, at Columbia University, those were at Atlanta, in Atlanta, the NYPD receives its training from members of the Israeli Defense Force. Here's another one. Thereafter, what are they? They're protesting for a ceasefire. They're protesting against Israel's invasion. They are demanding that their universities stop receiving money from companies and organizations that support the Israeli government. And I just want to end those three clips. And there are countless others. There's another one of a philosophy professor who's being frog marched away to be arrested at another institute, I think at Columbia. And then let's remind ourselves, Greg J. Stoker, brilliant commentator on this, former US serviceman who does daily posts on Instagram. Do follow him, would recommend. He reshared, posted, and shared this detail, which is, I think it's the governor of Texas some time ago. Well, let me do it.
Colleges are banning free speech on college campuses. Well, no more, because I'm about to sign a law that protects free speech on college campuses in Texas.
As long as it's the free speech that we want to be free. This is really frightening. This is really, really frightening. And isn't it astonishing? I've shown you three clips there, very quick and easy to lay one's hands on, from reputable news organizations online, sourced again from organizations such as Middle East Eye, Al Jazeera, CNN, etc. But it's nowhere on the mainstream media. It's actively being avoided on the British mainstream media because there's a fear that it could obviously potentially lead to something similar in our universities. I hate to say it, I don't have that enthusiasm. This isn't criticism of youngsters in this country. We, as a family, believe that the youngsters can be the most politically motivated. I think there is such disenchantment and disenfranchisement of political thought and the ability to enact change in this country. I think where you've seen our protests are in the size and scale of the marches here. But every single one of these protests, peace protests, they're being slammed down more aggressively and more violently than almost any other peace protest there's been in the past. Someone was right, I can't remember where I saw the article, but there's a piece somewhere talking about how even the attempts to kind of stop civil rights protests or to police anti-Vietnam protests in no way adopted the extreme use of force as you've just witnessed in the footage here. Of course, it's easy for the authorities to say that these become violent. As soon as you forcibly arrest someone by pulling them, like that woman was trying to help someone on the floor, and then she was at the point that she's pulled, and then she resists. So this is the trap you're in. And this, let's not forget, the NYPD and many other police forces in the US are trained by the IDF, by Israeli experts in security. And one of the things that is part of the rationale is to gently try to kettle, control, and when the first act of any normal humanistic resistance, if someone pulls you, you're inclined to pull away, aren't you? Pull against. As soon as that happens, they can say that you are resisting arrest. And as soon as they can say you're resisting arrest, then they can tumble you to the ground, and suddenly that will fire up other people. So it's provocative policing. It's provocative restraint. It's provocative kettling, and it's provocative in its intent. And it is in microcosm an identical parallel structure of policing to exactly what the Israeli police forces, the IDF, and settlers are doing minute by minute in the West Bank, and obviously during the Gaza-Palestine conflict. So obviously yesterday Netanyahu came out saying it's an outrage that all these protests are anti-Semitic. Even Biden has simply described, so to be anti the Israeli occupation, anti the Israeli illegal settlements, anti the Israeli policy of actually not wanting a two-state solution is not anti-Semitic. And Netanyahu came out yesterday saying, in these seats of learning, this is an outrage. It's an outrage. Well, I just want to show you very quickly a seat of learning, a university in Gaza. This is what Israel did to it. Oh, so you can't have a peaceful protest at a university in Gaza because for some reason, the IDF probably thought, look at that building there. There's probably Hamas in there. And so that had to be destroyed. This is the slow eradication of thought, analysis, critical thinking. I find it personally really petrifying that the President of the United States, a democratic President of the United States, is seeking to dismiss people who are theoretically, I mean, I don't believe in the idea that if you're educated to a degree level, you're more educated than someone. I don't sign up to that. But let's go with the standard narrative that theoretically our most learned or our most about to be learned people in the country, if they're protesting, to characterize them all as anti-Semitic is deeply troubling and petrifying. Someone yesterday underneath our wine o'clock said, this is Orwellian. This is worse than 1984. This is worse than 1984 because weirdly in 1984, everyone knew they were kind of, albeit that they had to go with it, they kind of knew they were being controlled. The vast majority of people are choosing not to see where they're being controlled. None of this news is landing here. None of this news is being reported properly. I mean, you'll get a page, you get an online page in The Guardian on the world page number 7. And I know Nadia's very sort of like, oh, I think this could take off. Unfortunately, when I look at the destaging and the wrong targets that many of our universities go for, I don't personally have the confidence that our universities will act in the same way. Our university system is so economically compromised, they can't afford to have the disruption and the upset. Siobhan Jordan, your head's going to explode. This is, and I'm almost getting to a point now. I think someone posted something recently where they said, silence and no opinion on this is actually an opinion on this. This is really scary stuff historically. Often parallels are drawn between historical moments, for example, in the build-up to Nazi Germany, there was Kristallnacht, the destroying and burning of Jewish businesses and shops were pillaged and then they burned all the books and all that. You could argue that in many regards, this attempt to shut down any form of peaceful protest or critical thinking in our seats of learning by using the word anti-Semitic is an absolute bulldozing of nuance, of care, of thought. It's an attempt to demonize any conceivable criticism. And it's still going on with Netanyahu still standing there saying this is all anti-Semitic, whereas actually, as I said on my Instagram post the other day, it's not. This is about not liking you, not liking what you represent, and not liking what you're doing. I mean, I think he's been a bit slow coming out, but I want to pop up Bernie Sanders, who posted this today, or last night, in response to Netanyahu, essentially Netanyahu giving an address 24 hours ago, which looked like he was the governor of the world, rapping American academics and universities on the knuckles, saying, this is awful, this is anti-Semitic.
Netanyahu, it is not anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas to point out that in a little over 6 months, your extremist government has killed 34,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 78,000, 70% of whom are women and children. It is not anti-Semitic to point out that your bombing has completely destroyed more than 221,000 housing units in Gaza, leaving more than 1 million people homeless, almost half the population. It is not anti-Semitic to note that your government has obliterated Gaza's civilian infrastructure, electricity, water, and sewage. It is not anti-Semitic to realize that your government has annihilated Gaza's healthcare system. Do not use anti-Semitism to deflect attention from the criminal indictment you are facing in the Israeli courts. It is not anti-Semitic to hold you accountable for your actions.
That needs to be posted everywhere because, okay, we can all argue, well, he's been a bit long time getting there and da-da-da-da-da-da. He sums it up perfectly. He sums it up perfectly. In a nutshell, that is it. And the hope is that whilst all these poor students and staff members and faculty members who are being shipped off to prison for peaceful protest, the hope is that they will do what happened in the 70s, what happened in the 60s. They will come right back and they will do the same again. This is why if there wasn't social media right now, we would have such a different sense of things. We would have been forced to, we would be looking at things like The Guardian for any little shred of any detail that was counter to the mainstream narrative. Thank God. And doesn't it strike you as odd, that's why it's in the title, that America is pushing for a TikTok ban? Now, look, no country wants their data laws or the data, there's the data gathering of the Chinese organization behind TikTok. Right, okay. One could argue, what data are they getting? Porn, clothes buying, TikTok challenges, what people like to shove up their nostrils, what they like to put into bottles to fire. Okay, what kind of data are they actually getting? Is it how compromising is it? Or is really America's ban on TikTok about controlling the narrative? Because social media is more and more and more the only route to truth. And as Reese quite rightly says there, you have to do due diligence. Just because every night when me and Nadia are talking about the crisis or talking about the aspects of it, I am subscribed to The Telegraph. I despise their editorial, but I'm subscribed to it, and I will always read their coverage of every single story. But the problem is, these publications don't cover the stories. They cover them or they ignore them, and that's how they ignore them, and they marginalize the stories so they get ignored by the mainstream media. And so it's important to do your due diligence even in the social media realm. There will be often times where maybe Dina will send me something, she'll go, what do you think of that? And we'll look at it. And there is stuff that you have to go on both sides. There's manipulation of the truth, there's editorializing of content, but there's a pretty safe bet that you can arrive at some certainty around certain things. And what's really odd and interesting is where we've had, say, the jury's out on this clip, usually it's about 6 days later, 7 days later, it's confirmed by, it will either be Al Jazeera, CNN. CNN has kind of shifted a little bit, and you get individual reporters within certain institutions that are trying to represent things. But I just think it's really curious and really dangerous that they want to ban TikTok in America. I'm not a TikTok fan, but what is really behind it? What is really, really behind it? And I think once you start to kind of consider that without social media, we would be so ill-informed. We would have had such a jaundiced perspective on all of this. We would not have been able to, and when a country, why is no one asking any of the Israeli representatives that come on anything, why won't you let, neutral UN peacekeepers and observers into Gaza? And why won't you let journalists have free passage into Gaza? Why aren't they asking those questions? Why aren't they demanding it? Why isn't the White House? Because they have a vested interest in us not seeing how bad it is. That's why over 100 Palestinian journalists have been killed. That's why so many more Palestinian aid workers have been killed, but they don't get the same attention as, tragically, the white or Western aid workers that did get hit. Sorry state of affairs. But I wanted to give you, we are continually lied to, Grace and Martin. Trying to find out the truth these days is absolutely crazy. It's totally crazy. Okay. So sorry. I mean, it's just, you know, the reason I wanted to show those to you, I said to Nadia last night, I said, I think we really need to find some examples of what's going on over there. I think we really need to show you guys. You don't get it on the mainstream news. And I also wanted to show Bernie Sanders, because when that popped up this morning, like some of you just said then, it gave me a moment of like, oh, fucking hell, at least there's someone fucking seeing it for what it is. Sometimes you begin to think that no one sees it. And you think, hang on, and I get to a point now where when you talk about this stuff and show this stuff, if people still don't want to see it, you're choosing not to see it. And in choosing not to see it, you're choosing to support it. I do believe that. If you choose not to see this, you are choosing to support it. And I promise you one thing right now. Everything, all of the implications of what has happened in this conflict, forget the solution for Palestine and two-state solution and whoever comes in after Netanyahu. Here's another, just on that point. Pelosi and all those assholes in the West, in US government who kind of are now saying, get rid of Netanyahu. This is a, what's it called? A false flag. This is a false flag. What the narrative in the West is now going to be to control this, and fucking hell, it's got out of control. This is a mess. Oh, no. What they're going to do at some point, there will be a point where the foot will go down on the gas pedal hard, Netanyahu will come out, and the Western governments will position this as, we've got rid of him, the main architect of this madness. Let's put someone else in who's better. But the person who's better will simply manage the situation as it is. So nothing will have got better on the ground for the Palestinians. Nothing. But they will have someone else in, and the West will be able to pretend and posture with the idea of, well, we got rid of him. Promise you, that's the next stage in this. That's the next stage. They're all saying get rid of Netanyahu. It's cool. It's okay to say get rid of Netanyahu. But that doesn't mean they're not signing up to the continued illegal occupation and refusal and resistance to a two-state solution. It's all planned. It's all planned. Anyway, on that final note, I was going to say, Zendaya, the challengers, please go and see this film. I need to talk to someone about it, because a little bit like the Israel-Gaza crisis, I'm beginning to think, oh my God, is no one else seeing this? It's the oddest film I've ever seen in my life. I think, Russ, interesting point. I don't think it's about people ignoring this. I think it's more that people just don't understand it. And understanding it is being made really difficult by the mainstream media, by making it confusing, by making it incomplete, by only showing one side of the equation more often than not. This allows for confusion. And you're right, it encourages a kind of depletion and a sense of futility and an inability to grapple with it. You're right, because when we go into any one of these conversations, my brain is whirring at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You have to be double checking, triple checking what you say, how you say it, when you say it, why you say it. But I noticed that nothing Netanyahu does, nor the IDF, do they ever double check, triple check? Well, they do, but it's usually after the event. But anyway, pinging back to challenges, please let me know your thoughts on challenges. I'd be fascinated to know yours, Reese. I just could not wrap my head around this strange artifact of cinema. Okay, it's Friday quiz. Okay. Faith Goodman sums it up beautifully. Our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will ask, why did the world not help Palestine? There you go. And we all need to have a ready answer for that. Okay, so let's do a huge kind of editorial gear change. Let's move to the right and let's hit this and let's do this. Friday quiz. God, it's almost like that was designed for us, wasn't it? Hey, God, weird that, isn't it? Okay, here we go. So if you're ready, fingers on the buttons, Thanks, Reese. Yes, let us know tomorrow. I'd be fascinated to know. My review is up, Reese. It is a bit spoilery, so you might want to avoid that. So let me just getting the quiz up. Okay, here we go. Oh, Julie, the singing nutcase, has just gifted a membership. That's very sweet of you. I just want to get rid of all these. I hope, again, sometimes the shock of what you watch. Again, we would never show anything that was too physically. But I mean, the shock of seeing just an economics professor manhandled to the ground is sometimes, it's the shock of that needs to be seen. We need to see it for what it is so that we can protest against it. Okay. All right. So here we go. So quiz of the week. All 5 members of the Spice Girls, question 1, reunited at a party to celebrate the 50th birthday of Victoria Beckham, aka Posh Spice. Which of their hits did they perform for guests at the get-together? I think we played the footage, though not the music, on Monday Coffee Moaning. Was it A, Spice Up Your Life, B, Stop, or 3, Wanna Be? Which of those did they perform at her 50th birthday? It's 20-year anniversary of Eternal. Is it 20 or 25-year anniversary of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless? God, it must be peaceful for you guys when I take a drink, eh? It's B. Francesca Bastos, Minky Moo is correct. Reese has gone rogue by saying a number. It's B. Stop right now. Thank you very much. All right, I'll stop there. Question 2. The government's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda finally got approval from Parliament following weeks of back and forth. What concession did MPs grant the Lords to allow the bill to be passed? A, exemption for Afghan veterans who help the British military, such as translators. B, monitoring committee for the scheme. Or C, Rwanda needs to pass independent verification before it's considered safe. I said all 3. Hoisted by my own petard, BTube. I always thought a petard was like a spike, so you were hoisted on it like you were speared. But apparently a petard was a bomb. I didn't realise it. Which concession did MPs grant the Lords to allow the bill to be passed? Is it A, exemption for Afghan veterans who helped in the British military, B, monitoring committee for the scheme, or C, Rwanda needs to pass independent verification? You're all right, it was A, exemption for Afghan veterans. Question 3, the European Space Agency's latest intake of astronauts completed their basic training. What nickname has been given to the class? A, the Bastards. No, I'm joking. A, the Belters, B, the Hoppers, or C, the Shenanigans? The European Space Agency's latest intake of astronauts completed their basic training. What nickname has been given to the class? A, the Belters, B, the Hoppers, or C, the Shenanigans? Dink, dink, dink. Get that for nothing, guys. It's B, the Hoppers. Question 4. Taylor Swift. Sorry, what happened there? Taylor Swift fans swamped a pub in London. I said to Nads, we should go there this weekend and swamp them ourselves. Taylor Swift fans swamped a pub in London that was featured in a track on the singer's new album. What's the pub called? Was it A, the Albatross, B, the Black Dog, or C, the Chelsea Hotel? Is it A, the Albatross, B, the Black Dog, or C, the Chelsea Hotel? Swifties must be up to their armpits in joy at the moment. It's just this Taylor Swift ear to ear. Which of those is it? Reese Roberts goes for B. Jules 1973 is saying the Chelsea Hotel. Tez is saying C. Me Tube's going for B. Gemma Chamberlain, Fifi Chromac, Elizabeth Diamond, Claire Hayward, Russ Ouch. Feel good, guys. You're right. It's B. Question 5. 4 artists were named on the shortlist for the prestigious Turner Prize. What classic model of car features in the Glasgow-born artist Jasleen Cower's work? Is it A, a Citroën 2CV? That takes me back. Is it B, a Ford Escort? Or is it C, a VW Beetle? 4 artists named on the shortlist for the prestigious... I remember the excitement at the Turner Prize years ago when Damien Hirst put Mother and Child Divided in. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I know for animal lovers, not pleasant. So which of those cars features in the Turner Prize? A, Citroën 2CV, B, Ford Escort, or C, VW Beetle? Lots of you saying VW Beetle. That's only because you like the look of them, isn't it? It's only because you think they look the most artistic. And in fact, None of you are right, apart from Ellery Jones. It is the Ford Escort. It's the Ford Escort. Question 6. A 9-year-old British boy won a European Championship in Belgium with his uncanny impression of a seagull. Cooper, from Chesterfield in Derbyshire, originally started doing seagull impressions after being bitten by one. What did he say he was eating at the time? A bag of chips, B, ice cream, or C, a tuna sandwich? These sound like the kind of championships I want to go to. An uncanny impression of a seagull. I want to. Is there a world championship for the uncanny sound of a cow? Answer is C, tuna sandwich. Well done, Tez. And final question. A record number of people took part in this year's London Marathon, with more than 50,000 people running through the UK capital. How did George Scoley stand out from the crowd? A, carried a fridge on his back. B, last to finish the race. Or C, set a world record for solving Rubik's Cubes during the race. Wow. Which of these? How did George Scoley stand out from the crowd? A, carried a fridge on his back. B, last to finish the race. Or C, set a world record for solving Rubik's Cubes during the race. Reese is saying carried a fridge. When we ran the marathon, there's the rather humiliating moment where a man with a fridge on his back overtakes you. It's never a good moment in the marathon when someone carrying a fridge zips past you. C, set a world record for Rubik's Cubes. Okay, guess how many, and the nearest to the right answer, we'll send you a card. How many do you think he solved? How many Rubik's Cubes do you think he solved whilst running the marathon? And I'll randomly choose a winner. Okay, guys, there you have it. So don't forget this weekend, Curly Cooks is back live tomorrow, normal. Well, it was normal last week, wasn't it? Coffee Moaning Papers in the evening, episode 2 of Lee's lovely cocktail journey, or is it a cocktail odyssey? That will be landing at 7:30. It was 7:30 tomorrow night. It will be a premiere, so some of us will be on the live to have a natter with you. Minky Moo, don't be ridiculous. Fifi Chromat now. Dale Ibbotson, no, 50. I thought you said something else there. The nearest answer, I'm going to give you the nearest answer. I'm scrolling around to look at the nearest answer is, at the moment, Sarah Smithard. You're the nearest. It was 520. You've got 300. I'm literally doing mental arithmetic there. 520 you did. So Sarah, where are you? Sarah Smithard, send your address to Michelle. Her email is in the description box beneath all our uploads. Send your address and we'll get a card out to you. Guys, have a lovely day. As I say, yeah, and it's a pre-recorded Sunday show landing this Sunday. And yeah, always going to be more content landing as well later today. We've got vlog.